Laughter in Paradise. A very good British comedy from the 1960s, I guess. With a man who likes jokes, dying, in fact, at the moment of his death. Do I remember this well? He takes a lighter and sets the newspaper his nurse on. Somebody was sitting beside his bed, so, and reading from a newspaper. So he sets that newspaper on fire and then goes off. He was known as a prankster. So he has this will, testament. He has 4 relatives that will inherit a very good sum, £50,000. At the time when he left this small fortune, I'm thinking £50,000 should have been something like 500,000, if not more, maybe close to $1 million for each. But there is a serious but. He has some provisions in the will for each of the 4. So we have Dennis Sterling Russell, played by Alistair Sim. I've seen him in some movies. An excellent actor. He has an unknown occupation for the actors. He's a writer of some bestsellers, but policier, crime stories, such as The Bank Bandit, I think it was. He will have to recommend to one of his relatives there. So anyway, in order for him to get, let's say, close to $1 million in today's money, fortune, he will have to go to jail for 28 days. And that will offer us some excellent, hilarious moment. I laughed. And to compare it, for instance, with a big hit of these days, I just finished last night, Don't Look Up. Released on Netflix on Christmas Eve. And I'd say this is much funnier than Don't Look Up, which has some very good points in a couple of days. I think that's the schedule. That would be a note. I know you're anxious to hear my opinion on Don't Look Up. You just have to wait for a few days. And I'm laughing in paradise here now. And no, people are not keen on that, or indeed anything we provide here. There it is. It's all joke, testament, and will. So our dear Deniston will try hard to get the courage to steal. At one point he enters a shop. He finds out what is required to break the law. And he enters a shop. He puts his hand on a pipe, and then the girl selling, the shop assistant, comes right away from where £5, that would be £5 a lot, because that's a special pipe he doesn't need, but he has to pay because he's a very polite, nice, discreet gentleman. He cannot cope with this. then he's taking an umbrella and runs with it, but nothing happens. Finally, to end this little exposure of his shenanigans, he does steal some pearls. He's seen by the detectives of the Mega Mall. I'm just joking, it was not a Mega Mall, but a shop. I mean, yes, a large shop with various stands and different items and so. So he's seen by the detectives, a couple of them. And they wait for him at the exit. All right, so let's check. And when they check his pockets, he has nothing, and he's also surprised. My God, how did you take that? My wallet. I've been robbed. Because from the moment where he had taken the pearls to the exit, he there was, let's say, another thief in the area, and that thief had taken the pearls and his own money. So that's one. Finally, he will come to face the court, and that's because he's keeping a brick in his hand, and with his back to the shop, he's throwing it, and then having a dispute with the policeman that arrests him, so that he gets the 28 days provided in the will. There's Agnes Russell, a woman that we see has been incredibly difficult with the help with her maid, I think this is. And so, because she was known to be so imperative, so demanding, obnoxious, insulting, arrogant, you name it. So she has to work for, I forgot, 1 month as a servant. So this is again crazy. There's some hilarious moments there, because the woman is no good, but she has to for the $1 million. I mean, he would try at least. I mean, she says no. One provision is if one protests the will, which has to be, they have to also be in secret, keep this under wraps. Then they all forfeit their fortune. So that's well, okay. So she's going in as a servant. She has this very difficult master in bed, sort of a hypochondriac, Scottish man, demanding, like she was. And so she's cooking some steaks on the fire. He keeps calling her, close the window. She has to come from I don't know, they do this in the basement. Stops the fire, comes back, puts the fire. There's a dog. The dog eats the steak, and she's driven crazy by this man, and she sees this will be a change. So there's some lessons in there too. That adds to the value of the film, if you will, because we learn with the protagonists how to behave. Let's move on before we make a movie out of this. Note about the movie. I'm sorry. There's Simon the Gambler, a mustachio man who sort of takes advantage of others. He has to get married to the first woman he speaks to. Now, the first woman he speaks to, that is not fair, is Audrey Hepburn, by the way, because we have Audrey Hepburn in a tiny little role. She's just a girl selling cigarettes, and she comes on screen for under 1 minute, maybe 30 seconds, you know. This man who used to sort of swindle the others. He has a car he will return, pretending he wasn't satisfied, but he's just abusing the confidence of others, including those who have given him the car on honor and honesty, thinking he's interested. He's not, he's just using the car to move around, and then knows from the beginning he will never buy it, he will just give it back. So he may run into a fortune, I was going to say fortune teller, gold digger, fortune hunter. And the last is a bank clerk, Hubert. This time, I mean, this man has a problem with his boss he doesn't have, and Herbert Russell. He lacks self-confidence. He should be able, but it was not available at the time, to read the 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden, the classic on on self-esteem. The 6 Pillars, the classic of psychology. So he's asked to go in at his in the office of his boss that terrifies him, quite mean otherwise, and hold him at gunpoint and rob the bank. And he doesn't have the courage to protest, never mind, or say something in front of this manager of the bank, never mind, rob him. So he has to try and find the courage. But again, that's another way of getting self-confidence. So this man may gain, they may all gain a lot from the experience, which can transform their lives eventually. I love this.